most of you present here today, at ELVA we believe that technology can help reduce the gaps that often exist between citizens and local communities on one hand and policymakers and governments on the other. And today I would like to talk about some of the ways in which we think we can reduce those gaps. Before I do so, however, I'd like to start by highlighting three conditions that we believe apply to the use of technology in any kind of project or environment. First and foremost, I think we should at all times realize that technology will only ever be a part of an actual solution. It should be a means to an end and not an end in itself. Proper project cycle management, a thorough understanding of the local political and societal context. These old-fashioned concepts of project design are still as crucial as ever and should never be neglected. And secondly, in order to be truly scalable, the tools we develop have to be accessible and cost-efficient, even to the most basic user in the most basic environment. As a community, we have to work on ways in which we can further reduce existing thresholds regarding the use of technology. Because, yes, local communities and organizations are often the ones with the most interesting information and insights on relevant issues on the ground. However, they're usually also the ones that lack the capacity to effectively collect, utilize, and share that information. And to overcome this paradox, the system we design have to be easy to use, even for those with the least amount of technical or financial resources. And last but not least, we have to use tools that local populations are already familiar with. For example, in some countries, using a smartphone to collect information from the general public might work. In others, SMS or other tools are a preferred option. We shouldn't be trying to impose tools on a population. Instead, the focus should be on the result and not the tool. So, implementing ELVA in a diverse range of projects worldwide, we've learned a few lessons about what works and what doesn't, and I'd like to share a couple of those with you today. Now, at this point, I'm already hearing some of you going, Mark, aren't you just trying to use the theme of this wonderful conference to shamelessly promote your own work? And to those people, I would like to say in unequivocal terms that, yes, that is indeed the case. There's no way around it. Our platform offers several in-house functionalities to collect structured data, namely through SMS, smartphone application, and internet. Besides collecting, though, it provides the tools to use this information by automatically generating a number of visualizations, including interactive maps, customized charts, tables, and other graphics. We started developing our platform a few years ago for projects in Georgia. Following the 2008 war between Georgia and Russia, we allowed 18 representatives from communities along the de facto border between Georgia and South Ossetia to report on safety issues via SMS and now also mobile application. Every week, volunteers fill out an in-depth SMS questionnaire on conflict trends within their area. And by doing so, this network is successful in providing structured and highly localized data over longer periods of time. Within 3 years, it produced more than 150 automatically generated reports based on over 3,000 reported incidents. Now, data collection is nice. Having insights on situations on the ground is great, but it only really matters if you use this information, are able to use this information to improve the situation on the ground. And here we come at the first of a number of lessons that I'd like to highlight today, namely how do we follow up on collected information. In Georgia, we actively work with security providers on the ground and international monitors. For example, if we receive a request for emergency assistance from a reporter, for example, regarding the detention of a Georgian citizen by Russian or South Ossetian de facto border guards, we pass this information on to relevant security providers within Georgia, including local police, and with them try to facilitate a locally appropriated response. And as I think this testimony of one of our volunteers illustrates, this worked quite well and is a nice concrete example of how technology can engage citizens and allow them to cooperate with local authorities, decrease the distance between them and those local authorities, and resolve issues, even in remote, conflict-sensitive environments like Georgia. Now, to test our methodology further, we, since about a year, started to implement it in a number of other projects worldwide, including Somalia. Local civil society organizations in Somalia are currently using our system to conduct a crowdsourced poll measuring voter concerns on the upcoming elections, allowing them to collect information on the election process from the general public through step-by-step SMS questionnaires. People will be asked to report on their confidence in the election process, what their primary information sources are, etc. Now, within this project, we employ a concept called crowdsourcing, or the collection of information from the general public, rather than a fixed number of reporters. And this can be a great tool to help us understand issues and situations and to better address local needs. However, a problem that we often identify is that within many discussions on crowdsourcing, it is often assumed that a crowd is already there, like some kind of constant, self-evident force. And sometimes it is. In some situations, people will automatically feel the urge to report about a situation they're in. And I'm afraid I just spoiled the... For example, if you're an avid Twitter user and your town is about to get buried in hot smoldering lava from an erupting volcano, chances are you might indeed tweet about that. But most of the time, you will need to recruit your audience and keep it engaged. So how do we do this? I think it starts with a good publicity campaign, preferably one that is supported by a wide range of actors within civil society, media, and government. But I think we should use technology to take an extra step by actually providing feedback to your reporters, entering into a meaningful dialogue with them. Because people like to see the fruits of their labors. We find that people will stay in projects, stay engaged in projects longer, if it is clear to them how their individual contribution benefits the wider community. We've seen this in Georgia, for example, when a participant in our community safety network sends in a request for emergency assistance. As I just mentioned, we immediately pass this information on to local authorities. And no matter what their response is, we always send back some kind of feedback to our reporters. And by entering into this type of dialogue, our participants have gotten a real sense of ownership over the project and have stayed engaged in it much longer. Again, though, we arrive at the issue of follow-up. It's great to have a highly sustainable network of people reporting on a particular issue. However, the question is still how you can use this information to achieve real impact on the ground. We are convinced that a key element in this is proper visualization of your data. Even the most local organizations, the ones with the least amount of resources, should be able to easily visualize collected information in meaningful ways. And we're doing this currently in a number of ways, including, as you see, interactive maps, integrated ways to show video and photo and text reports, as well as a range of other relevant data graphics. And so by bridging the gaps that currently exist between data collection on one hand and visualization on the other, We hope we can help even the most local organizations and communities better promote and advocate the issues that matter to them. I'm realizing and nearing the end of my time here. I'd like to conclude, though, by focusing on a topic that is a little bit more closer to the focus of the conference, namely democracy, particularly election observation. There's a number of great technologies used by civil society organizations that support them in their election observations. Organizations like Frontline, SMS, or Zoektel help people collect data via mobile phones. Open Data Kit, Forum Hub, or Kobo Toolbox help observers create surveys for smartphones and tablets. Platforms like Ushahidi can visualize information on online crowd maps. However, we find that a lot of these platforms are not always tailored to the local needs and tailored to election observation. And there is not a tool that really combines the three functionalities of collecting, processing, and visualizing data at the same time. And this year we want to bridge that gap. I know that there are many organizations involved in election observation present here today. So if you are interested in helping us develop and implement this, please don't hesitate to get in touch. Thank you very much for your attention.